the conversation with a good 5 to 6 people in the last 48 hours on 1,200 calorie. I'm so sorry. I'm not acting, guys. I'm saying this with love and also for context, and I want to give some more information about the topic because I think it's really poorly misunderstood. And a really interesting thing that I was talking to people about in regards to this is that it's a very like Michelle Bridges, it's a very like old school mentality of like the 1,200 calorie thing. And I want to share some information to help everyone who has this mindset. So the goal of this is not to at anyone, it's to educate. So I just did my calculation, right? So I just worked out what my calories would be. I mean, I know based on just like my body on what is kind of my maintenance anyways, but I've done it according to the science. So I've done it with the science of it and the calculations, and I'm pretty average height and I'm pretty average build. Like I'm definitely more on the skinny, annoyingly skinny side, trying to build muscle, but I'm like average, honestly, like high weight or like us. Too boring. Nearly 30. So just to give you like context of everything. Like how the best said nearly 30 out loud. Anyway, so my basal metabolic rate, if I did nothing but just like laid in bed all day long, would be estimated 1,300 calories, right? So anything below that technically would be calorie deficit, but you need like at least that much to try function. So not really wanting to go below that. Also, I'm not laying in bed all day long doing absolutely nothing. You're going to be doing more activity. So if I was quite sedentary, just kind of lazy around all day, full sit down job, no steps, I'm talking like less than 3,000 steps in a day, no exercise, I'll need 1,500, 14 to 1,700 calories to maintain. So therefore, if I did that, if I had a sedentary job, I sat down all day long, I never went to the gym, I never exercised, I did less than 3,000 steps a day, like super sedentary 7 days a week, then maybe, yes, 1,200 calories would be a good calorie deficit for me in that circumstance. But that's not common. Often it's 7 days, not me, but other people, 7 days a week in the gym, hours of cardio, doing all this. We've got to add on to that for all of it. So for me, like, even if I did, like, if I sat on my bum all day at work and then I just went to the gym a couple of days a week, did a little bit of walking, like, I was still like more on the sedentary side, like lightly active, suddenly my maintenance is now like 1,800 calories. So to lose weight, I could go anywhere between like 1,300 to 1,400 calories kind of vibe, not 1,200. As soon as you start doing a little bit of light exercise, you don't need it. Then if I was like, I know currently my maintenance is generally like around 2,200, like 2,300, 2,500 is generally like my rough maintenance zone. So for me, like if I'm in like at 1,800, 1,700, I'm dropping body fat. Like you don't need to be on 1,200 calories to drop body fat unless you are like incredibly sedentary all day long. And as soon as you start adding activity, as soon as you start having an active job, if you're a teacher, you're up on your feet all day. If you work in a shop, you're up on your feet all day. All of that adds up to your total calorie energy expenditure. It's not just about what you do when you're at the gym. When you're at the gym, you might burn 200, 600 calories. Like, I don't even know. The watches are inaccurate. Don't listen to the watches. It all gets put into the one thing. What used to be a really common mindset was, this is how many calories I burn in a day, and so therefore I just have to eat less than this. But it doesn't really work like that. Like, I don't go to the gym and burn 500 calories, therefore I can now eat 500 calories. It doesn't work like that. Your body needs X amount. Your body needs most of your calories just to function and live. That's your basal metabolic rate. Everything you need just for your brain to work, your organs to work, your hair, your skin, your cell turnover, muscle, everything. That is like that's like 70% of your calories right there just to be alive. And for most people, that's going to be like anywhere between, that could be like 1,000, 1,200, 1,300 calories, depending on your body size. If you're taller than me, then it's going to ramp up. If you have more muscle, if you have more body size, all that's going to ramp up. Like me being quite an average to smaller person, mine is like that amount as an estimate, right? And then as soon as you start, like even me doing this right now is technically burning energy. So that works towards my non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So there's tons of factors involved. And that is also why like your maintenance calories is never one solid number. It's always a little, it's a window depending on what you do in the day, your activity, what foods you're eating, your sleep, like there's so many factors involved, right? But my point being that I like 1,200 calories is just like way lower than what 99% of the population are going to need. If you are a really small human, so therefore your body just needs less energy to function. If I did absolutely nothing but laid in bed all day and I wanted to lose weight, 1,200 calories wouldn't be a bad idea. But as soon as you're going to the gym, as soon as you're doing exercise, for most of the population, 1,200 calories is just like ridiculously low and unnecessary. Is it going to get the job done? Possibly, but why wouldn't you? Why do you want to go as low as possible? One, it's not enjoyable you want to try and eat like as much as you can, right? Like you want to enjoy your food and enjoy your life. It's more sustainable. When you eat more food, you feel better, you have more energy, you can be more active. Like when you're not eating enough and you're getting really lethargic and tired and dizzy, you're like this all day long and you're just like a zombie. Whereas when you're having enough food, you're feeling more energetic and therefore your energy output's going to be higher as well. It's going to help you fuel your training sessions. You're going to build muscle. When you're fueling your body with more food, an adequate amount of food, and especially high protein, and then you're doing resistance training, you're going to spare muscles. You're not going to burn through your muscles as much because if you're just like dieting as low as you possibly can, your body's just going to break down anything it can to try and find energy. So when you're eating like in a calorie deficit, right? Like say this is how much your body needs and this is how much you're eating, your body needs to fill that gap. It's like that's what the deficit is. That's how you lose body fat, is your body is filling in this gap that it needs. It's going to meet that energy requirement no matter what, but how it does it is based on your body. So you eat a certain amount and then your body's going to go, cool, where am I going to get this extra energy from? And if you are resistance training and you're doing eating high protein, that helps to signal to your body to say, do not take it from my muscle. We need the muscle. Instead, let's drop it from the body fat. We can take it away from there. You'll also take it away from like glycogen storage, like where you store carbohydrates in your body as well, but body fat as well. So that is why it will eventually do that. But if you're like, cool, I'm just going to do as little as possible, it's like, one, the body's going to be like, oh, fuck this. We might need to hold on to some, like, it's just not going to love the process. It's going to rebel against you. And it's also going to break down protein, which is your muscles, because that's also an easy thing to recruit. So that can help. And how does it rebel against you? It's going to make you really hungry, so it's really hard to sustain. It's going to make you feel like no energy because it's going to want to conserve energy. It's going to want to try and bring your energy needs down. When you eat really, really low, it's going to try and bring your energy requirements down so the gap isn't as like difficult for it, right? So you're going to move less, you're going to exercise less, you're going to perform less, you're not going to build muscle, your brain fog is going to be hectic, you're going to sleep horribly. That's like the grand scheme of like why we don't go super low. And then what happens when you stop dieting and you have been eating super duper low, 99% of the population are just going to be like back to normal. And then that huge change causes the rebound effect, causes a binge eating cycle, or it causes all the body fat just pile back on because the body's like, food. Whereas like that's why you need a reverse diet as well. So I think the body likes to stay in homeostasis. It likes to stay in balance. So if we can kind of stay in balance and just do small shifts here and there to be in a calorie deficit, keep moving along without being like yo-yo dieting, right? That's why yo-yo dieting doesn't work. We want to be more like a gentle, I don't know, gentle wave, tidal wave, something, I don't know, gentle. Then it's going to be more sustainable, it's going to be more enjoyable, and you're going to be more successful, and it's less stress on your body. Fat loss is a stress on your body. You're putting your body into the net deficit zone. It doesn't like being out of its homeostasis. So it is a stress on the body, and you need to learn to recover from that as well. So moral of the story is you do not need to drop all the way down to 1,200 calories, despite what social media taught us many years ago. But let's break that cycle and not believe in that anymore. let's change the dialogue around the fat loss process, and not, because I know a lot of people say, oh, but it's just what my mum did, so I'm just following what my mum did. Well, let's break that cycle. You be the mum that teaches your kids how to do it in a healthy, sustainable way. Teach them healthy habits, so maybe they never have to go through a weight loss journey, because you've taught them that you do resistance training, you're strong, you're fit, you're healthy, you get your steps in, you hit, you do whole foods, but also fun foods, and you teach them about balance. Like, be the mum that stops your kids having that same experience that you had as a kid, because you know how much that's had a negative experience on you and your relationship with the scale and your relationship with food. And like, don't do that to your kids. Like, be the person that puts it in its tracks and makes a change for good. Which is so cool that you can do that. So you be the new positive influence on your kids, so they don't go through that same experience that you did. And then we can, like, fuck off all of this silly nuances and being afraid of the scales and thinking that carbohydrates are going to make you fat and that you have to do 10 hours of cardio to get lean or whatever. Like, no, let's be the generation that stops all of that. And like, imagine a world where your kids don't have to go through a fat loss phase because you've taught them how to do these amazing habits, where they'll be like, huh, what is a calorie deficit? Because they've never had to worry about it. That would be really freaking cool. That was a huge side tangent from my whole thing about working out your calories. But end of this is, if you want a guide to help you learn how many calories that you possibly need, calculators are all an estimate. I use a combination of calculations, science, your photos, what you've been doing currently, test it, trial it, and tweak it along the way and make adjustments. So I do multiple factors, but if you want a bit of a guide on just like where to get started, DM me macro guide and I will send it to you. Otherwise, thanks for listening to my rant and my TED Talk for today. I will see you guys all in the next one.